Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to have one of those videos once again that covers a bunch of different stuff in terms of Warthunder. Looks like Gaijin is pumping out a bunch of things today, including a changelog and returning a ton of premiums for sale. So we're going to have a look at them all, we're going to review them, and give you some ideas of what is good and also what is bad. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get into all of the premiums that are coming back. First of all, we have the USS Moines, or the Moines, as I like to call it. This one is coming back for its anniversary, and also it's here to stay. So this is just going to be a GE vehicle in the American tech tree. It's one of those heavy cruisers for America, which has a ridiculous amount of fire rate on it, and also a ridiculous amount of guns. But yeah, if you don't want to pick it up yet for 8,020 GE, you can wait until the sale's a little bit later on, and it should be discounted. There's also another event which is going on as well, which is a discount for the Focke-Wulf 190 and Bf 109 variants for the anniversary of their first flights. Basically, there is a 30% discount on a lot of Bf 109 and Focke-Wulf 190s. So Flegel's Bf 109A, the Bf 109E7, the Focke-Wulf 190A8, the Bf 109F4 for America, the Bf 109G2 for Italy, and also the Bf 109G6 for Sweden, all have discounts on them. If you want my specific recommendations, I would recommend probably the Bf 109G2 for Italy and also the Bf 109E7 for Japan, but there are better premiums in both tech trees at around those BRs, so that's what I'd probably focus on instead. For the other ones, the Bf 109 Z1 is back, the Focke-Wulf 190A5 is also back, and the Focke-Wulf 190D9 for the USSR are all temporarily available for GE, basically from the 28th of May until the 2nd of June. So if you want to pick any of these up, they are available and only going to be available for a few days. We'll be reviewing these, especially the Zwilling, since that one is kind of interesting. We also have access to the Focke-Wulf 190D13, which is now available for Golden Eagles 2 and also is here to stay. This is one of the longest lasting premiums when it comes to Warthunder, and it's nice to see it back after being removed from a pack a while ago. So let's have a look at some of these vehicles. So the first vehicle we're having a look at is the Bf 109 Z1. This is the Zwilling, and basically it is just two Bf 109s strapped together. It does have a really weird armament and also just really weird features, and I feel like this is more of kind of like a collector's item instead of something that is meta. In the German tech tree, you already have a ton of really easy premiums to play around these BRs, you know, stuff like the Ju-288, you have the Do-335, you even have stuff like the Tempest when it comes back, so things like this Zwilling aren't really needed in terms of, you know, grinding through the tech tree. But it is at least one which kind of comes back every so often and is a limited vehicle, mainly because of its interesting nature and also the fact that this version probably never existed. So the Z1 has access to the DB605A engines. It has two of them, and then also it has one of the wonkiest armaments you will ever find on a Bf 109. It has 4 30mm MK108 cannons. So these are the low velocity kind of stub gun 30mm, the same ones that you find on the ME262. So since this thing isn't crazy maneuverable and also has this really awkward armament, it's obviously not great in terms of actually killing things, but as I said, it looks cool, and sometimes that's all you really need. Modifications-wise, it does actually have access to a bomb and also an incendiary nowadays, which is kind of funny, so you can use it in ground forces, but the MK108s are not designed really to go after ground vehicles. This is designed to intercept bombers, and most of the time you're never going to see bombers. It's also a fighter, so you take off from the airfield. If you want a unique vehicle, a interesting one that, you know, only comes around once, maybe twice every few years, then you should pick it up because it is kind of cool in that way, but it's not a vehicle that's really fantastic, you know what I mean? Like, as I said, this is just a collector's item. There are much better vehicles of this BR than it that will run circles around it. For Japan, you have the Focke-Wulf 190 A5. This is just basically a complete copy of the A5 that you have in the standard German tech tree. This was one of the first premiums that actually turned up for Japan back in the day, and once again it got removed, and that's kind of sad. Has access to the BMW 801D2 engine, giving it a lot of kind of mobility. But the cool thing I've always liked about this vehicle is its firepower. The general rate of climb is a little bit of an issue, so getting up to speed can be a problem. But once you get there, this firepower and also roll rate means that you can hammer anything that's about. You can see here it has access to the MG151s, which is really nice. It has 500 rounds of MG151. Then it has some 7.92s in the center, and then on the outer wings, you have the MG FFMs, because why not? So, in terms of fire, you just have a ridiculous amount. So, whatever you kind of run into, you can have a really good time in just kind of battering it. The problem this vehicle has is the Japanese tech tree is really strong at these BRs, and you also have other premiums that are much better than it, such as the A7M1NK9H, or stuff like the A6M5Co if it ever comes back in its navalized pack form. You also have stuff like the Corsair, which is a lot easier to use, and many others in this tech tree that are just kind of better. So it's one of those which got removed because there was no real reason to buy it, and now they're trying to FOMO you with it. And as I said, it's just a standard 190. If you like the 190A5 in the German tech tree, obviously you'll like it here, but it does offer a very different playstyle compared to the Japanese vehicles that are in the tree, and also it's a pretty iconic aircraft in terms of the Second World War. You also have the Soviet Focke-Wulf 190 D9, which has turned up once again. This is another one which has a really nice armament and is one of the later Focke-Wulf 190 variants. You can see, being a Dora, it has the length and fuselage, and also it has the different engine, and just completely different style of actually playing. It has the UMO 213A, which gives it a ton of horsepower, and then also it has access to this really nice armament in the center. I would actually say these ones are in a pretty good position right now, since they got load in BR and metric ton. Basically, the meta changed, right? So, very long time ago, I'm talking like years and years ago at this point, the meta of aerialistic was kind of climb high, win the high battle, push people down, and then like hammer things, right? But with the addition of a lot of strike aircraft, and with the addition of a lot of other vehicles that have kind of turned up in the game, nowadays, the meta is much more mid-altitude, fight to low altitude, and then go. Well, the Focke-Wulf 190 series, as it goes on, it's more designed for high-altitude stuff, and then boom and zoom, and then move along, right? Now, the problem with this is the Dora series had a very weak elevator, which meant that it wasn't very good at this, and so you could be really fast, but also you could have issues with actually, continuing to hammer targets. So they actually buffed its elevator about maybe a year or two ago, so it's a lot better than it was, and now it actually fits really well at its BR, but since it got lowered in BR a bunch, people just don't really know about it. So I would actually say, out of the ones that are available, this is probably the one that's worth the purchase, because it actually is pretty good. The other thing to also mention about this vehicle is you can see its picture is actually clipped in the image, which I think is kind of funny, with the propeller and also the wing. The other part is, we've talked about this before, there's a lot of like damp squibs in rank 4 and also early rank 5 for the Soviets, which aren't really meta, aren't really good. This vehicle can kind of get you past them and, still have a pretty competent vehicle to play with. It is very much just an air fighter, though. You do not have any ground ordnance, and this is not a classical turn fighter, so it's not going to be very good in stuff like ground. It's only really going to be that useful in air. So just take that into mind while you are playing this thing. The last one is the Moines, and basically what this is just an SL printer. There's no real other way of putting it. This is very similar to a lot of the light cruisers that America has, but it's just a heavy cruiser variant. It has access to the 8-inch guns instead of the 6-inch ones, which hammer home a lot of firepower. You can see here also the fire rate. You can get up to 10 rounds per minute, so basically a reload of 6 seconds on each of these guns, and it has access to not just the common shell, APC-BC, HE, and then also another SP Common 2. So the major problem that this thing has is the fact that it faces a lot of battle cruisers and battleships, that it doesn't have the armor to stop the shells coming in, but it can consistently get a lot of score, it can consistently get a lot of damage in, and it just generally it's exactly like stuff like all of these kind of vehicles here. You will not survive the battle because you'll be targeted because you have so much firepower, but you will get a ton of score while doing that, and you will make a ton of SL and a ton of RP. You just won't survive. So if you're okay with that, then you'll be fine. It obviously has a great secondary armament, you know, a bunch of 5-inch dual purpose guns, bunch of 3-inch guns and 20mm. AA is really good on this, so airplanes will never get close to you, and you can just consistently rapid fire these guns at enemies that go along. If you get down tiered or actually play at your tier, you just annihilate everything. The only thing keeping this in check is that a lot of people play like the 7.0 area, and those vehicles kind of donk on this thing. So it's in a really good place, and I would highly recommend it. The only issue with it is when they bring in the new ships, which hopefully will be at 7.3, and then it'll actually be in a better place, because then these guys will get up-tiered a bit more. But if that doesn't happen and they come in at 7.0, then this thing's just going to be annihilated. Luckily, it's here to stay, so you don't have to make the decision on whether you want to buy it now. You can wait until later when it's discounted in a sale. We also have a changelog for today, update 2.45.1.105, and this has a bunch of changes in it. You remember yesterday we covered a data mine. Well, a lot of the data mine stuff has turned up in this one. For example, we had the AGM 65 changes. You have the E, the E2, and the L. The maximum seeker rotation speed or track rate has been increased to 12 degrees per second, and then also the AGM 65 D, F, and G, the AGM 130, and the GBU 15 V2. The minimum and maximum field of view values for the Seeker have been reduced from 15 and 30 degrees to 1.5 and 3 degrees respectively. So a little bit smaller, but also increased the zoom. The Q5A and L also got changed. Basically, there was a bug that caused the deployment of the countermeasures to use 2 countermeasures at the same type per launch has been fixed, so now it'll only fire 1, which is great. It basically doubles your survivability. The Blenheim, they have swapped the turret machine guns, or basically they're just in different places now. The Chesapeake, the ability to carry 1,000-pound bombs has been removed from it, but the ability to carry 500-pound bombs on underwing hardpoints has been added. The erroneously low maximum load on each of the wings and total maximum load has been increased, so it can actually be able to carry those. The TU2 got its Brabs that we talked about yesterday, and the Z1007 Series 3 and 5, there is a 500 kilo bomb modification description that stated the bombs were armor piercing. That's been corrected since they're not armored piercing, which is kind of funny. On the A32 as well, there was a bug in the Brand Bomb M58 description that caused the explosive type to be listed with a text key. That's been fixed too. And the P1Y1 Mod 11, all of the variants, so basically the Chinese one and also the Japanese one, there was a preset with 800 kilo armor piercing bomb that's been moved to the 2-hit ground targets category instead of the C targets. Sorry, it's been moved from the ground targets to the C targets category, since technically they're designed against C targets, even though the HE ones are usually just better. For ground vehicles, the Starstreak missile, they reduced the offset of the dart. For the Rapier, they gave it scouting, and then also they changed the explosive mass on the Azrad R and LVR BV missiles and halved it, which is really sad. For the Leopard in naval, they basically got the 13.2mm Hotchkisses to fire again, which is nice. The HMS Gay Archer got its torpedo mode modification, and they also removed the auxiliary armament targeting modification, since I don't think it actually has an auxiliary armament on it. The Flagstaff, there was a bug where the boat's hull didn't break when it was hit by large caliber shells, so it just wouldn't overpressure or hull break or whatever you want to class it as. Now it does. The Alano, it's lost its rangefinder, the improved rangefinder, since the boat only has auto cannons. It didn't really make a lot of sense. sense. And then also, there was a set of achievements that have been added for French ships and boats, which is pretty cool. And also, the bug we talked about yesterday with the Thunderer, Sudami, Anti-Mech, and Rogue Wave awards. Now you can only complete them in air battles instead of ground and naval. So those were the changelog. We covered a lot of these changes yesterday in the data mine, so I didn't want to spend too much time on it. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Warthunder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.